When I was about 21, I had a car accident and I broke my back and I had to go into hospital for quite a long time. And I needed yoga, and I used yoga as a way of dealing with sort of my frustration, as well as helping me with the muscles and all the problems that I'd had. If you fast forward a few years, I got Archie. He came from a rescue centre in a horrible, horrible state. I mean, we didn't know what kind of dog he was so skinny. And he was kind of in the same state as I was when I broke my back. And so I was thinking about what I could do to help him with his frustration, and also to help him keep his muscles and keep him physically fit whilst he couldn't go for walks and that kind of thing. And I came up with this idea that maybe I could do the same sort of posture training that I had been through that helped me so much, as a way of helping him to have mental stimulation and physical stimulation. Dog yoga is when you teach dogs specific postures and expressions and actions in order to help them with focus, control and general calmness. Ready? So we're trying to teach dogs to be still and to be calm.
Gonna lie down. Lie down. Really sad.
It's very disciplined and very structured. In the book itself, you've got real step-by-step guides to each of the postures and each of the expressions and each of the actions. So literally, number one, get your dog into the space. It also gives clues as to how many repetitions of each of those little behaviours you want that will result in the dog being able to do the end behaviour. And also it gives clues as to when you should take breaks if the dog isn't taking breaks themselves. What I've tried to do in the book is I've tried to lay it out as clearly as possible. So by reading through each of the actions, if you take it step by step, you'll be surprised how quickly a dog can start not knowing anything and end being able to do the whole of that posture, because it is so structured and so clear. So most dogs would benefit in some shape or form from the mental stimulation and the ability to control their own environment in a training capacity. But there are particular dogs in particular circumstances that seem to really benefit from it. So elderly dogs that suffer with stiffness and that kind of thing, the more traditional method in order to stretch an older dog or a dog that's about to partake in some sort of sporting activity is to do it manually. So you lift the dog's paws and you move them with your hands. But when you do that, you're not able to ascertain A, whether or not you're really stretching, but also B, whether or not that hurts that dog until the very last moment where the dog says, actually, no, that's enough. So dog yoga is a brilliant way to stretch out dogs that are perhaps likely to take part in agility or flyball, as well as older dogs that have stiffness. It's also really, really good for dogs that are, for whatever reason, they have to stay inside the house. So a dog that's just been castrated, or a dog that's had an operation, or a dog that really struggles with outside because outside is frightening for that dog for whatever reason. These dogs can get lots of mental and physical stimulation without getting overexcited, chasing a ball back and forth and so on, in an environment whereby they're choosing their own learning environment, and they're choosing how long they're learning for and how long they're not. And the other group that really, really seem to benefit from it are dogs in more challenging environments. So dogs that are in kennels, police kennels, quarantine kennels, particularly. So dogs that aren't able to have very much access to direct human interaction and touching. It is training whereby you don't have to touch the dog. You can do it between the bars. You can do it in a kennel environment. And when you're doing that, we're training all the right things. We're not training the dog to spin and leap and jump and do things that actually in a kennel environment is going to bring his energy up. Instead, we're training him to do things that are calming and that are going to help him when it comes to human interactions later on.